Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the start of London Fashion Week, and how different is this one to the last one? And the impact of COVID, how are you able to overcome those challenges?
It is indeed a very different fashion week to what people might have expected, where usually editors from around the world, buyers descend on London, the impact of London around hotels and hospitality and restaurants. And this is very different with travel cancelled. But the principle we've gone on is the show must go on. And designers have really rallied together to produce some unbelievable content. It will be a digital first fashion week, but this season, September, as opposed to June, we're actually adding some physical presentations as well. So it will be a combination of digital and physical, but you can see it all on londonfashionweek.co.uk.
And how has it been working within the government guidelines for the actual physical shows?
The reality is the physical shows will be much more limited in scale to the usual big catwalk shows that you might expect. We've worked very closely with the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, which is the agency that represents the fashion industry. And we've produced everything within the context of strict COVID guidelines. So it's much more limited number of people. It's by appointment only. There's all the track and trace facilities, but also less hair and makeup and less sort of support staff in the background. And for that reason, we're really focusing on the editors and the buyers and the people for whom the designers have to show their vision to really be part of the physical side, and the consumer and the wider fashion community can get involved on our digital hub.
Stephanie, talking about buyers, how will the international buyers view and will that impact the sales? Will that impact what the designers are showing?
The reality is that we've been thinking for a long time about the evolution of Fashion Week and the purpose. And yes, Fashion Week is both a cultural event. It's a big moment in the yearly fashion calendar for designers to talk about their vision, but it's also a selling moment. And typically we sell, designers sell between 150, 200 million in receipts at Fashion Week itself, and then at other moments throughout the year. So it will have an impact, but we're working with technology. We've partnered with a company called Bryer, for example, which allows orders to be placed online, and we can do that through our Fashion Week hub. So the British Fashion Council has always been innovative in its approach to using technology, and we're hoping that that pays off now because we're in a position to bring technology in to solve some of these gaps that we have now.
You yourself have said that the impact of COVID-19 has been devastating. Where has it hit the hardest?
It has been a significant impact to the industry. If you think about at the very start, the consumer demand has dropped. Lockdown has meant that people aren't going to as many events. They're not going to the dinner parties, weddings, for example. So consumer demand has dropped. You've also seen a shift in the category. People are buying less event wear and designer wear and focusing on casual wear and leisure wear. So it started there, but also the business model itself. Designers are seeing that with retail stores closed, their orders are being cancelled. They in turn are having to turn to their factories and cancel their orders. So the supply chain, which is incredibly complex, has been disrupted at every stage.
Can the fashion industry survive?
It can. It's a difficult time. We commissioned a study through Oxford Economics that states that an industry that contributes 35 billion to the UK economy and was actually outpacing growth compared to the rest of the economy is risking contracting down to 26 billion. So it is a significant hit to the industry. But there is an opportunity to use this as a time to reset and for designer businesses to think about how do they rebuild on better foundations? How do they think about the future, given that they have to rethink so many of their preconceived notions? So whether it's really aligning creativity and commercial underpinnings, thinking about sustainability at the start of their journey, or really thinking about the people aspect and bringing in diversity and inclusion into what they do. This is really the silver lining and what the BFC is really pushing designers to think about.
What about job losses? The British Fashion Council employs 890,000 people, but new figures predict job losses due to the impact of COVID could be 240,000 direct jobs, possibly 350,000, including indirect roles, which would be 1% of all UK jobs. What will the short-term and long-term effects of that will be?
The job aspect of this crisis is incredibly concerning. If you think about the fashion industry, as you said, it employs close to 900,000 people. That's the same level of employment as the financial services industry. So it really is a big employer aside from its GDP contributor. And these are often young people. They are often people who are really creative and who couldn't imagine themselves in other industries. So it really does affect at all levels, whether it's retail, shop floor jobs, to also creative jobs, but also very technical skills that are very difficult to transfer into other industries. So we're thinking about mentorship, access programs, and we're really working with government to make sure that those foundations that ensure that jobs remain are supported by government. So whether it's business rate relief, rent relief, funding and loans to help with cash flow issues. These are the sorts of things we're talking to government, because it is a significant portion of the UK employed population.
Are you getting enough support from the government?
We are in constant conversations with government. We got a lot of support around London Fashion Week, and we're really talking to government, who has broadly for the UK economy done a lot in terms of its grant schemes and furlough schemes. The difficulty is that the fashion industry is very specific. It's got some very specific aspects in terms of, for example, the designers who would qualify for business support loans aren't necessarily the same as in other industries. So that is what we're talking to government now. How do you adapt to the specific aspects of the fashion industry? And we would like to have the same support and attention as the hospitality industry has. And certainly the fashion industry contributes in terms of being a huge calling card for the UK globally.